England won, Denmark won. Our producer, Declan, went out for a big night out last night. Looked like he took the England players with him. They were that bad today. They were dreadful. But I want to start on the positives, and there are positives as well, okay? England are top of the group. They didn't lose the game. It does look like they are going to qualify. So those are the positives. Mark Gahey was a positive as well. Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later. But Stuart Pearce, former England captain, and our England commentator on talkSPORT, Jim Proudfoot, are with me. It was a pretty shocking performance. Stuart, I'm going to ask you a very broad question. What actually went wrong?
Well, there's a fair list. I'll start, shall I? I think as soon as we scored, we took our foot off the accelerator, and I don't think the foot was way down on the accelerator. We didn't get our fullbacks forward aggressively enough, in my opinion. When we did, Walker got the goal or helped contribute to the goal. We had no runners in behind at all. I think we had a front four that were all coming to the ball every time, so we had no counter-attack threat whatsoever within the game. And the biggest problem I think we had, we showed no energy within our ranks. And the longer the game went on, Aid, the less energy was in the ranks. I don't think I've ever seen Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham as flat as that within the game. And, you know, we're introducing Conor Gallagher to offer energy to the team performance on both games, more so in this game. And literally, the performance was very, very flat.
Jim, you're calling this game. You're doing it play by play. How difficult was it to do? And what were you thinking as you're calling the game, watching England play so badly?
Well, it's very difficult because all you're commentating on is a succession of errors. And you want to be rational. You don't want to sort of fall down the avenue of hyperbole and say this is the worst England performance I've ever seen. But you get to a stage where it's hard not to, because you've got to tell it as it is. You know, I've been fortunate. We've seen a lot of good England performances over the years, and they've done well in tournaments. But you have to be rational about a display as bad as that, and you've got to call it out for what it is. The only one I could put up against it in recent times under Gareth would be the Hungary Nations League defeat at Molineux, where England lost 4-0. I think there were extenuating circumstances for that. I don't think there are any extenuating circumstances for this. This was a series of players who are fantastic players. I have no problem by and large with the side that he picked. So I can't say he's picked the wrong team. But they were 4 and 5 out of 10 performances pretty much across the board. That's the concern. You're sitting there thinking, how bad can this get? There was a lack of cohesion. There was a lack of understanding. Players didn't really appear late on to know what the tactics were, whether they were trying to waste time, whether they were trying to get the winning goal, what they needed to do, what constituted a good result. I tell you something, in the way that they played, a draw does constitute a good result. But the frightening thing is, from the position of strength that England are in, 2 points clear at the top of the group with a game to play, and racing certainties, you would think, by and large, to win the group, it's hard to see them going much further because the performances are so substandard, and there are next to no positives. There were a few the other day. Next to no positives from that performance at all.
I have to say, I think I agree with Jim. It was the worst performance under Gareth Southgate, and I understand what you're saying about Hungary at Molineux. That was a shocker, but there were so many mitigating circumstances with that. With the players available, to play like that was so bad from an England point of view. The worst for me under Gareth Southgate. In terms of England as a whole, it's nowhere near as bad as, I think, as Iceland in 2016. So again, a bit of perspective is perhaps needed. When we look at the reasons why it was so bad, Stuart, how much of it falls on the manager, Gareth Southgate? Because you know England fans and talkSPORT listeners will probably point the finger at him, say he's negative, too cautious or whatever. He's the one that held us back. How much of it falls to Gareth?
Well, I think some of the things I touched on earlier about our deficiencies within the game. Do you think the manager's told both fullbacks sit back in your own half and don't go forward very often? I would say not at all. Do you think he's told Kyle Walker when Christian Eriksen, who, no offence to him, can't run, fronts you up and you're one-on-one with him, don't take him on? Of course not. Do you think he said to the front four, none of you running behind, I want you all to come to the ball, you know? Or certain players to run out of energy in the game, which was quite alarming. Now, the heat, potentially, you know, it weren't sweltering, but the heat and the pitch probably played a part in it, you know, I understand that. But I don't think I've ever seen Declan give the ball away and be so lacking in energy. Jude Bellingham, for me, I'd have probably bored him off. I thought Phil Foden had a better game than he did the other night, and he didn't last the 90 minutes. So, Harry Kane never held the ball up for us, never running behind. He got his goal, and brilliant. You've got your goal, well done. But we need more than that from all the team, and this will be a difficult one to pick up because I've been in charge of teams at times, and when you look at your team and you can get beat by being not very good at playing the ball out from the back or giving the ball away or varying other deficiencies within your team. But a real lack of energy is one of the hardest things to lift your team, and that's what we needed. We need energy. That's why we're going to Conor Gallagher on the bench and saying, run around a little bit and make the odd tackle, and you might just carry one or two others around with you.
I totally agree. Kyle Walker said in his post-match interview that wasn't an instruction, that there wasn't, okay, you've got the lead, you need to sit back now. But the bottom line, Stu, whoever is to blame, these things keep happening. And, the message is there, and you can kind of predict how games might develop. But they keep going down the same rabbit holes that they have done on a consistent basis for years, but worryingly have started doing again under England, under Gareth, recent times. You think of the Iceland game and the last two, and that's three, real substandard performances in a row and getting worse. So, okay, you can point the finger of blame. The most important thing is, where do we go from here? What can change over 4 days to make sure that the performance that we've seen to a greater or lesser extent over the last three isn't replicated? Is that a change of personnel? Is it a change of tactics, or what?
Well, I think all of us would look at the team, and I think we have all been in agreement that the selection of the team for both games, I've been very supportive of, and I think we all have, and we got our better players in the team, and one thing and another. I think you could comfortably make 6 or 7 changes within the group, and it not be detrimental, certainly, to that performance. It couldn't.
We talked about substitutions pretty much all week. We talked about it before the game. The substitutions that Gareth made today are probably one of the slight positives. They actually did do good things for England. The subs that came on probably didn't do enough, but they actually changed things slightly for the better.
Well, Watkins running in behind certainly give us a bit of a lift, and he nearly got in. Schmeichel's made a very smart save, down to his left-hand post in regard to that, and he ran in behind on a couple of occasions, but by that stage, their 3 centre-halves have got so comfortable in just coming onto things and dealing with everything in front of them, it become too easy for them, and really, where he goes from here, I don't know. This is a tough one for Gareth and his coaching staff, They'll look at that and they'll see that performance, and it will get worse tomorrow when they look at the performance.
I think so, but actually within the context of the group, it's okay. We look like we're going to qualify. And Kyle Walker also said in the post-match interview with Faye Carruthers that he knows the players. They're all fantastic players. That's the word he used. And they can play better, and they will play better. England will go to better levels. Kieran Trippier told Faye exactly the same thing post-match. And I think it's hard, having watched that, to believe that. But actually it is true. Jude Bellingham is not going to play as badly as that again. We've never seen Declan Rice play that badly for England, have we?
No, absolutely not. And you can't conceive that England can possibly play another 45 minutes as poorly as the second half of this game. So from that point of view, it can only get better. And you think if England can get the result that they need against Slovenia, they then get a team that finished third in their group, they're then in the quarter-finals. And history will show that there have been teams that have had really poor starts in tournaments. Portugal in 2016 were rotten through the group. They finished as one of the teams that finished third, got out of the group, ended up winning the tournament, having won only one of the first 5 games. So you can improve, but my worry is that you can't turn things on and off like a tap, and that there were so many deficiencies in that performance on an individual basis. Players looking spooked by the ball, looking spooked by the conditions, the lack of clarity and defensive communication, I think was a major issue, which you can foresee a few things. I couldn't foresee that happening in the way that it did, and the copious number of individual errors. So the players are looking short of confidence. This is going to be one of the toughest jobs that Gareth has ever done, getting the tune out of them for the game in 4 days' time, let alone for the knockout stages.
And it might well be making some tough calls. It might be leaving the captain out. It might well be how do I solve the left-back issue? How can we get more delivery from the left-hand side with no natural left-back? Do we, I don't know, put a Saka there potentially? Do we go to a 3? There are a lot of. Do I play Declan Rice further up the pitch and put a holding midfield, maybe in Wharton in to take his place and try and get a tune and a better rhythm out of Declan? You know, this next game we're out the group, okay. This next game might be almost an experimental game to say, look, if we keep doing what we're doing, by the time we get a knockout stage, the performances won't be good enough to advance us any further. I might have to use this next game as almost a change in a style and mix it up a little bit to try and get a better tune out of various elements of the team.
Stuart, I want to ask you 3 quick-fire questions. You don't have to be too long with the answers on these. First of all, social media was alive with football fans, England fans, saying it's bizarre that Cole Palmer isn't on the pitch. He ended the season very well in the Premier League. Were you surprised he didn't come on?
I wasn't, personally. I felt as though the game probably needed players that are perceived have got more energy about them, like Bowen, that could run in behind potentially, like Watkins, like Eze if he'd done the same as he did at Newcastle. That's why I think they reached for him and those players more so than Palmer. So I'm not surprised.
You mentioned Harry Kane there a moment ago. He didn't play particularly well. If you were in charge, would you leave him out of the 3rd game?
I think I would, to be honest with you. I think I would, to get more energy in the team, to get someone to run in behind the opposition's defence. And then you review it again when we get to knockout stage.
And I want to ask you both this one, just finally with the quick-fire questions. Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield. A lot of people seem to think it hasn't worked. Should that experiment stop now?
I would make a change there because I think we've got nothing to lose. And Trent might say, you put me in midfield to deliver passes and all I can see is faces looking back at me when I get the ball.
Yes, I would also make a change. I think that Trent, in a way, has been unlucky from the point of view that when the changes were made today, they put the runners on, players that he could try and hit came on as he came off. That clearly didn't help him. And if those substitutions had overlapped a little, maybe it would have been different. But listen, that's hindsight. I can't see Trent starting the next game.
We've got about 5 seconds left, which is more than enough to cover the positives from today's performance for England. Mark Gahey, I thought, I've done my marks out of 10 on the talkSPORT website, talksport.com. You can check it out. I've given him an 8 out of 10, possibly a little bit generous, but I thought defensively, Stuart, he got us out of a bit of a problem sometimes.
I don't think generous, no. I think you probably got that marking spot on. I thought he was our standout defender, without a doubt, probably our standout player. Made one mistake, and his recovery run to deal with it and block it and was absolutely outstanding, you know. Apart from that, he got first contact in and around the halfway line. He had a super game.
Yeah, clearly the biggest positive of England's tournament so far. 2 standout performances in his first 2 games in tournament.
I would also say Bukayo Saka did really well. I thought he was good for about maybe 50 minutes in the first game. I thought he was terrific in the second game. However, he got taken off as well, and that was a cause for concern. But overall, I'd say he's doing really positive things, causing problems.
Well, he is our most offensive attacker. There's no doubt about it. He goes past people. I'd like to see him do it a bit more. But I thought he played very well in the first game. I also thought he'd done well in today's game. Unlucky to be taken off. I think there's an underlying fitness situation there is the reasoning behind him being drawn away from games.
Just one quick final thought. I think you spotted in commentary, Jim, that there were some disagreements between England players, and I'm not quite sure how deep they went. We're not there listening to the exact words, but it's clear they weren't as one with each other during the whole of the game.
And that's a surprise, because the one byword of England under Gareth has been unity. I haven't seen that happen before. Listen, you're the pressure of the situation, you're in there, you know that you're not playing very well, you're getting fractious. That's understandable if anybody's having a bad day at the office. I kind of get that, but I haven't seen it anything like as public as that before. I was surprised, and just to go over what I said before, it wasn't just that, but the lack of cohesion, that they didn't seem to be on the same page, was really concerning. I think they'll get that sorted out though.
I think their biggest problem was they didn't know whether to stick or twist. They didn't know whether to go to try and win the game or try and shore up things, because things were that bad. And I think they ended up falling out with each other on the back of it.
One final point. I don't think England can be that bad again. Things have got to get better from here. Would you agree with that, Stuart Pearce?
I'm going to have to, because the alternative doesn't bear thinking about, my friend.
The second game at the last World Cup, England drew 0-0 with the States and were very poor. The second game at the last Euros, England drew 0-0 with Scotland and were worse. Okay, another second game draw. They've played badly in 2 games. They haven't lost either of them. They've got 4 points to 2 points clear at the top of the group. That is a positive, but boy, have we got to get better.
Let's just put it behind us, shall we? We'll see you next time.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.